The lack of diversity within the scientific community has far-reaching implications for the exploration of unconventional fields like parapsychology. Recent reports from the National Center of Science, Engineering, and Statistics reveals stark disparities in science, technology, engineering, and math, particularly concerning research opportunities, funding allocation, and representation. Minority communities, including individuals from marginalized backgrounds, are significantly underrepresented in scientific research. This lack of representation not only limits the diversity of perspectives brought into scientific inquiry, but also perpetuates broader societal inequalities. The distribution of epistemic privilege within the scientific domain plays a pivotal role in shaping which topics receive serious consideration and validation. Epistemic communities, often dominated by individuals from privileged backgrounds, wield significant influence in the determining of the legitimacy and acceptance of scientific inquiries. Parapsychology, being unconventional and challenging established paradigms, frequently encounters barriers to acceptance and exploration within these epistemic frameworks. Colonialism is defined as the pursuing, establishing, and maintaining of control and exploitation of people and of resources by a foreign group of people. The legacy of colonialism continues to exert a profound influence on scientific discourse and methodologies, shaping the ways in which researchers approach and perceive unconventional fields like parapsychology. Colonial impulses rooted in Eurocentric ideologies and historical power dynamics often lead to cognitive biases that affect scientific inquiry at fundamental levels. One such bias is the privileging of materialistic paradigms and reductionist approaches, which prioritize measurable and quantifiable phenomena while marginalizing subjective experiences and non-physical phenomena. This bias reinforces a narrow understanding of reality and consciousness, limiting the exploration of phenomena that fall outside traditional scientific frameworks. Moreover, unconscious prejudices rooted in historical narratives can contribute to dismissive attitudes towards disciplines like parapsychology, labeling them as pseudoscientific or unworthy of serious consideration. These attitudes not only hinder genuine exploration and understanding, but also perpetuate a cycle of exclusion and marginalization within the scientific community.
Which is male-centeredness. So how is it that the tradition, the historical trajectory, stemming from the Enlightenment, even before the Enlightenment, has favored a certain male-centered view of the world? How does that factor into our current understanding of the paranormal and psi? Post-colonial studies was inaugurated by thinkers like Frantz Fanon, Edward Said, and Gayatri Spivak. Of course, the central tenet is to critically examine the ways that colonizers pillage and install new material practices and values in the conquered community. Research methods come from a scientific tradition that necessarily subjugates indigenous voices in the service of discovering truth. And of course, truth, the meaning of which is predicated on a tradition of misogyny, racism, and Eurocentrism. And this is unequivocal. And what I mean by that is that one has to necessarily look at the historical antecedents and the historical contexts that have gone into the creation of the institutions that we have today. And that history is, again, predicated on these kinds of values, these kinds of perspectives. And so it's on our behest as ethical, not just ethical researchers, but to do good science is means to disentangle and to dismantle and to disassemble these kinds of hierarchical, homogeneous practices that we may not always be aware are occurring.
Dr. Francis David Peat was a holistic physicist and author who has carried out research in solid-state physics and the foundation of quantum theory. He was director of the Perry Center for New Learning, which is located in the village of Pari near Grosseto in Tuscany, Italy. He was adjunct professor at the California Institute of Integral Studies and Schumacher College, a fellow of the World Academy of Art and Sciences, and a distinguished fellow at the University of South Africa. Prejudice and bias has been consistent within the scientific world. As an example, certain invitees to a workshop on the foundation of physics received from the organizers letters withdrawing their invitations. The letter to Brian Josephson asserted, quote, "It has come to my attention that one of your principal research interests is the paranormal. In my view, it would not be appropriate for someone with such research interests to attend a scientific conference." While a similar letter to David Pete asserted, quote, "It has come to my attention that you are the author of books on Jungian synchronicity and quantum physics and on connections between Native American Indian thought and modern physics. In my view, it is not appropriate for an author of such books to attend a scientific conference." These letters illustrate well the defensive, paranoid attitudes of members of the scientific community, such as those who pressed for this action to be taken. For such people, science equates to closed-minded inquiry, in the light of which their action is in no way surprising.